it's working. Are we online? Do we have all the things? Why is it always like one is missing? Okay. Just got to announce the last guy here. And do this here. Boop. Just one more. Why isn't Twitch going? Why is everything anything? Just a second. I don't know why Twitch is still off. Boop. Just one last message. Okay, we're good. Let's reload Twitch and see if it's actually functioning or what the frick is. Because I'm streaming in 3 places at once, and we'll see how long it takes for my friggin' Ethernet to crap out. And we're gonna go over here, and then we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna do this. So, if you're following along at home, you've probably gone and looked at the instance of SenseAlice. And you probably noticed it's slow. And it's slow because there's no internal caching. And there's no internal caching because I was very specific about how I wanted to do internal caching. And the way that I wanted to do internal caching has to do with a content addressable store, which I happen to have written. And so, sorry, my nose is just like super crazy itchy. So I have been working on that. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm actually using the tool to sort of follow up and just sort of write out the concern. So as I was saying in the thread, the sort of idea behind SenseAlice is this like specificity gradient where you have like sort of outward facing concerns. And the way that you render this is they're in the center. And actually, you can actually see kind of the underpants of this if I go to one of these. This is very alpha software. Like I don't know what to do with this quite yet. Anyway, but you can see that the entities that are in the center are more like they're more concerning stuff out in the world, and the entities that are out of the edges are, and you can tell because there's more of them, are like, what are the concerns? Like, what are the actual, what do you need to do in order to do the things that you need to do? And I am also calling this the sort of like the diagnostic view, and where I'm at. So I got this sort of up and running on the internet in May. And I've mainly been doing like marketing stuff, and I've been mainly doing other things, client stuff, whatever. So I haven't really been too much working like once I got it going. So there is this problem of caching that needs to be addressed. I'm going to go back here actually. So there was another thing that actually happened back in August that so it turns out that Google this still says it's offline on Twitch. That's freaking weird. I wonder what the heck is the issue with that. Oh, there it is. Okay, of course. Anyway. So back in August 1st, Google, in their infinite wisdom, so it turned out that there was a problem with the implementation of XSLT 1.0 that has been shipping with browsers since 2001. Now, I've been writing web code that long, and I happen to use it, XSLT, quite a bit. I use it on just about everything because it's like the laziest possible way to do templating, because you can consume XHTML. You make sure that your app emits XHTML, and then you can transform it, and it's so much easier to work with in a lot of ways than React or any of that stuff, because it keeps everything intact, and so you can't make like an error, basically. Like, you cannot make a syntax error in XSLT like that you won't notice. And so I use it because I can be lazy, and there we go. Jesus Christ. Okay, I was trying to mute a thread. So, of course, I get on the damn stream, and the first thing that happens is my WhatsApp blows up with like a group chat of people like planning a pub trivia, which I don't need right now. But anyway, so I have this problem, and you can see everything in Sense, it moves it to the center. Whatever you're focused on. So the thing on the lozenge here is the little dot in the center that's lit up, and of course when you like mouse over the neighbors, they light up. Then your standard stuff. And so anyway, so we have this issue. So this is the other thing too, is everything is color coded, so you know what it is. Everything's color-coded. Issues are reddish, pinkish, whatever. And positions are green. Arguments are blue. And then there's sort of extensions to that. So I've got like this sort of project, like this sort of more concrete project planning. So the idea is you've got this process whereby this is an issue like a bug is an issue in GitHub, right? Like that is what that is. The difference is it's spatial, obviously, and whereas a sort of a bug is like a free-form text thing, the issues in this are more, they can be bugs like software, but the issues in Sense Atlas are more about being sort of holistic about the entire, whatever the heck it is. It doesn't even have to be software. And so what you do is you basically start accumulating these issues, and the issues. This is actually a task, so this is a task that actually needs to be done, which is create a server-side XSL teacher. This is going to palliate the problem of dealing with that. There's a whole other thing about that, but this is going to get the issue off my plate in the short term. And so you can see that the semantic relations between these entities. So, this is a task, even though a task is sort of like a subclass of a position. And the task is to create an XSL blah 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 server-side XSL T transform. That's fine, but there's another issue that it raises, and this is sort of the value of doing it like this. Is that we chase these issues. So if you have a process, the process. I'm just going to check something here. You have the process that you come up to a resolution of what you want to do about the thing, whatever the thing is, the issue. In this case, the issue was to create a server-side XSLT transform, fine, whatever. We were relying on browser cache to keep the XSLT from being intolerably slow. Well, there's no internal caching, so we got to implement it. That's another task. And again, a task is a subclass of... it's getting hit really hard right now because of the internet is taking an interest in this. Also, I'm running out of RAM on the other computer that I'm using to monitor this. It's fantastic. Anyway, so we have this issue of internal caching. Now you can see that this responds to like a bunch of other stuff, right? So, okay, yeah, Sense Atlas is really slow because Intertwingler, the application server that it runs on, is really slow. And it's really slow because it's basically rendering everything every time for everybody. Notwithstanding, like once you get it, like you get it once. And there's other issues too, like that I won't get into. But so what we want to do is this is a task, and the task is to implement internal caching. And you can see the gavel is position, and this thing, which has already been clicked, is a task, like the screwdriver and the wrench or whatever. Those are the icons for that. But again, like these have issues. So like questions. How are we going to handle, cache entity bodies? Okay, how are we going to handle cache entity bodies? That's a good question. Let's click on it. We're going to handle cache entity bodies. This is actually very simple, this one. We are going to implement caching generated representations, or we're going to implement caching of generated representations against store digest. Store digest is a content addressable store that I wrote. It does its thing with RFC 6920 cache or hash identifiers, so that's like all handy. It's all standard. And so this responds to the issues of like, well, how are we going to handle the cache entity bodies and with the others? We're going to need to handle a much higher request rate. Yes, if we expose Intertwingler to the open internet. We've already exposed Intertwingler to the open internet. But this suggests the issue that it would be useful to be able to indicate to the engine that a given handler manages a content addressable store and thus, what the heck, can be used for caching. Yes. So the answer to this is, again, it's another task, and this is actually what I'm working on. Why is this getting choppy now? So this is like literally what I have been working on over the last few days, which is to extend store digest to include a way to indicate that an entry ought to be treated as cache. And again, this responds to that. It also achieves this goal, which is we want Intertwingler to have a unified interface to opaque blob storage. So we want basically the way that you interface with blobs, no matter what the blob is, it's always content addressable. And, and so it's just going to be like a service that's available to Intertwingler internally, I mean. And so like whether it's something you're going to store permanently, whether it's something that's going to be cache, whatever, doesn't matter, because it treats it the same, except for the fact that like cache, like all a cache is, right, is just like a store with extra instructions to like delete the thing at some point. And so if you just have a flag in there that's like, yo, this is cache, this can be deleted. And then of course you rig it up so that like if you put something in a content addressable store as cache and then you put the same object in later as not cache, it's like, this isn't cache anymore, don't delete it. Well, that's pretty straightforward too. So I am implementing that. I'm like 98% done it. I'm just being lazy and I'm not finishing it yet. But what I was going to do is I was going to start, just finish, like flesh out like what the heck I even did with this. So I'm actually going over this too because I don't actually remember what's in here because like I put it in. Where did I put it? Jesus Christ. I put it in, there you go, 2024, March 18th. That's when I wrote this. That's when I wrote that. Great, fantastic. Anyway, so you can see, for example, here. So here's a question. What if a cache entity is superseded by an entity that's durable? That's what I was just explaining. And so this is like, you can actually see that the green is slightly different here because like that's a task. This is a, what's it called? This is a position. A position's not actionable. That's a sort of important detail. And so what I have found, like when I have been working on, software in particular, but like a lot of projects that are sort of like heavily design oriented, is like design is fundamentally, and by design I mean like system design, right? I'm not talking about like doodling doilies or whatever. Like I'm talking about like architecture. To me, like the key difference between design and engineering is not the fact that you're using, you're trying to make things pretty versus you're trying to do math or something like that and make things, function. The difference is engineering is going from 0 solutions to 1 solution, and design is going from infinite solutions to 1 solution. Right? Engineering is a knowledge problem and design is a decision problem. And so the purpose of Sense Atlas is to capture the concerns, because the concerns are what you need to capture if you want to make good decisions about what you're trying to do, right? You got all these stakeholders that all need their needs met one way or another. And the question is, like, how do you manage those such that all of the concerns are met? And just as an aside, I put like just a little like button on here so that other people, because this is theoretically a collaborative tool, can like endorse stuff. They can like it. To say without having to issue any kind of commentary, they will just say like, yes, I agree with this thing, whatever that is. It's an issue, a position, an argument, a goal, a task, a target, And that's another thing too. Is so I started out with this thing called IBIS. That's what the so you've got the issues, positions, and argument. The issue is like a thing in the world that needs something done about it or steered around, because you're gonna not necessarily, you could have an issue that like you can't do anything about. A position is what, if anything, to do about the issue in particular, and an argument is why or why not. And then this structure gets built up, as you can see, right? So I've got this issue. What if a cache is superseded by an entity that is durable? What if that happens? Well, then the entity is inserted in the store over top of the cache, clear the cache flag, ensure it's never re-enabled. That's what you do. And again, that's a decision. Like that's not a task, right? This is a task. That extends store digest, and I can actually sort of see if the task has subtasks. Yes, it does. So this is what I was working on. Create a variant of the metadata driver for both the old and the new version of the database layout. So this was an issue, which is adding a cache field to the did I click on that? Yes, I did. I'm getting angry because it's like getting hammered right now. I shouldn't like advertise. The irony of this is the thing that I'm working on, like in the other window, is exactly the thing that's going to make this a shitload more, more robust and faster. And I'm like literally, I don't know, I'm like a handful of lines of code down. I gotta just do some shit. Oh, yes, I know what I was going to do. I was going to, let me try to figure out where, well, I mean, I can read this obviously. So this is, the issue is, I wanted to add the cache field, but it's gonna make this thing freaking incompatible with the old version. But there was another issue. Let me try to see if I can find it. Which was just that the it was just, oh yeah, here we go. So when I went and did this initially, when I went and I designed this freaking store digest, this content addressable store, when I went and did it initially, like I thought I was like, oh, like I better make it as portable as possible. And, but like in the process of doing that, you've got like a freaking, what's it called? You got the key is a SHA-256 hash, which is 32 bytes. And it's like, you don't need a 32 byte key in there. You can make, and this the other thing too, is I also made this like funky, so it's like you set a primary hash, like the one that it uses by default. And that's going to be the key, and the value in there is going to be the record. And it's like the record all except for the it's like it's this very sort of Byzantine. I have no idea why I did it like this, because the way that I was smarter is you got an integer, which is what you can just, you got an 64-bit unsigned integer that is just the serial number, and then you've got the record with all the hashes. A much simpler design. Much, you can fit that in a register too, so you don't need it's going to be faster to run. And then you take the other hashes and then you map. So then there's no privileged hash. There's no negotiation for that. So like the original design was like 32 bytes in the key, whatever in the value. Now it's like that 32 bytes has moved into the value. There's another 8 bytes there. And then, all of the hashes. There's no one hash that's more privileged than the other. No one hash digest that's like better. Whereas that's sort of how that initially was. So I was like, that's just dumb, but it's not critical, right? Like it wasn't a thing that I needed to do. Yeah, here we go. Store Digest uses a baroque and inefficient layout for its metadata. This is an issue, right? And you can see that actually. That's just an issue that, and you can see there's no ancestor to that issue, right? Like there's nothing pointing to that. There's only one pointing out. And so the thing was to create a variant of the metadata driver, and it actually turns out that so that there was the response to that was, or not the response, sorry, what am I saying? Oops, wrong button. So, right, this guy. Yeah. So, for some reason, I made Store Digest with all mixins. It can't do inheritance. And then I was like, well, refactor Store Digest manage blah, 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 so that they're classes instead of mixins, and they can be subclass. Just, make the driver wrap them. Turns out I actually figured out a way to not bother that with doing that. So you can see that there is an argument. There's an argument for and an argument against. The argument against is turning these modules into classes may not actually be necessary. What is the argument for? The argument for is slow. It'll probably be easier to test these things anyway if they're classes instead of mixins. Maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter because I didn't bother doing it. But that's done now. So I want to go back up to create a variant of the metadata driver. Is that going to be on here? Or is it going to be the cache? No, it's something about the cache. So this is a subclass. Yes, the storage registers and the storage registers have to be treated as cache. Okay. So this is what I want to start. This something that I need to capture here. I don't know why Twitch just reloaded itself. Which is it turns out that it may not be that intelligent. So like first of all, I would say the question is, where do we put this? This is something that I've already answered, so I'm just like putting it in here for posterity at this point. And the answer is, what do we do about the deletion, like the expiration time? Expiration time. Well, the answer is the expiration time of each cache entries. I'm just going to redo that. This stupid button. You got to understand that this thing is like 13 years old when I started working on it. And I had this like big issue with, this like I'm like a lot less like this now, but I was like very much like that you should always be able to, like, if JavaScript isn't running at all, you should always be able to like work the website even if there's no JavaScript. And I'm less stringent about that nowadays, but I was. And so the idea was like I just start with these buttons that you actually have to click, and then like basically pull them off like if they're not scripting. But I never got around to it. I need to do like the UI treatment is going to be something that needs just like its own time to just improve the UI. I have like some ideas around it. This freaking thing, I need to spend like a month just on this graphic because the math is freaking wrong, and every time I look at it, I'm reminded that the math is wrong. It's too like it splays out. It's too wide, and I want to cluster more. Anyway, okay. So, what do we do about the expiration time of the cache entries? Well, the response to that is the cache entries, we are just going to reuse the dtime field. So reuse the dtime. I'm just going to do that field and just set it into the future. The dtime is a deletion time. So what happens with the cache entries is they turn into a tombstone, basically. So you delete something, and the metadata record will still be there, like to remember that the thing was once there, and it'll just have a dtime, like a deletion timestamp on it for like if the thing is deleted. So we just say reuse the dtime field. Yes, reuse the dtime field. Where's my brain? Use the dtime field and just set it to the future. I mean, that's what I did. So, but this suggests an issue, and the issue that it suggests is that the index, so there is the dtime, there's a dtime index and it has it's going to be silly almost to if we're looking up the dtime index. I should probably do this differently, but no, we're going to do this. So mixing cache and non-cache entities in the is going to mess up, is going to make things weird with the dtime index when it comes time to purge caching, excuse me, to expire cache entries. Because you'll have to scan the cache content is going to, yes, whatever. We'll just put that there for now. I'll probably change it in a second. It's like, it's got to be like, people have got to be hammering it right now. Maybe not. Or maybe I'm just running way too many freaking things right now on my internet computator. Extremely jacked right now. What time is it? This might be the worst idea, or it could be 4:22. Okay. Yeah, mixing cache and non-cache entities. Going to do things weird. Mixing cache and non-cache will mean it will be necessary to scan everything. Sequential scan the index. Sequential scan the index. When it comes time to expire cache activities. Entities. Entries, not entities. I mean, it could be entities, but and for some reason it has put that there, which is not right. But it'll probably refreshes are slow. Sometimes it, yeah, whatever. It's race condition or something like that. Give it a second to reload. It's real slow when you gotta like load everything from scratch because of the fact that it's not cached. There's no what's it called? There's no cache in the internal stuff, which is again what I am running. No, stop that, man! Jesus Christ. All right. Are you still loading? Jesus. So, one of the things that makes Sense Atlas slow is that there's a resource that represents me, like, and since I am the creator of like thousands of objects on Sense Atlas, it generates backlinks and it generates thousands of backlinks. And of course, like it's got to do that on the fly since there's no cache. That takes like a freaking minute to compile because it's doing the URL resolution on all of those as well. Yeah, anyway. So that's a fun time. And so so it has like recently just gotten really, I don't know what, like it just went over a cliff in terms of badness. And so I have the XSLT thing from Google, and I have the fact that this damn backlink thing is, so I've got to do something that paginates the backlinks, and I have something for that, but it's no good until I have internal caching, because it's like it's just gonna have to because I have this transform. I should do a thing. I should do a segment on Intertwingler itself. What the freaking hell have you done? But you're not loaded the thing. There you go. Okay. That looks more like what it should look like. This thing, of course, it recenters. I think I mentioned this. It like recenters everything onto the graph. My internet is not acting up. A lot of the time, so it turns out, since I have fiber that is faster than the Ethernet connection. And so I went out and I bought a USB dongle so that it would be fast enough. But of course, I ended up buying some piece of junk that craps out. Like if you put too much traffic through it, it just chokes and dies. And so you have to unplug it and plug it back in. And so that hasn't happened yet, which is surprising. Anyway, I need to make this stretch too. Like I need to make a new one of these, but it's not happening yet because there's more urgent stuff. Okay, so I want to go back to this. Yes. Because one of the questions that needs to be asked is, sorry, something is showing up in my peripheral vision. So one of the questions asked is, how are we going to expire? Just want to double check that. Oh, we put the caching of generated representations against star digest. Extend star digest indicate cache. Right. So the question is, how do we expire the cache? Come on. Did I do it? Because you can't tell if you clicked on it. So the question is, how do we actually expire? How do we actually expire the... One thing I'm actually not too sure about quite yet evicting expired. So something that just came up here once this thing finally loads. Why you gotta slow down on me now? You were just fine. I mean, you weren't fine when I hard refreshed you, but now, there you go. You're chugging along. Come on. You can do it. Yikes. I thought I had that on mute. Are we loaded yet? What the frickin' hell, man? There we go. Jesus Christ. Okay. How do we actually go about evicting expired cache entries? One solution, the easy solution, is we just put a hook on it. Put a hook. Oops. Put a hook. Come on. Put a hook on the accessors. Just trying to freaking figure out why the hell. Anyway, put a hook on the accessors to expire the. Or to evict. That's simple. So every time you interact with the store, it just like runs a freaking thing to evict the. I mean, like we could Porcano Los Dos this. Why have you gotten so slow? Oh, the irony. The irony of the slowness of the thing. We're trying to plan the thing for making it less slow. Irony has been at the center of this project for like a freaking decade and change. It's like, if only I had the planning tool to plan the planning tool. If only I had the planning tool to plan the planning tool. But I don't have a planning tool to plan the planning tool. Now I do. Ish, mostly. So, put a hook on the accessors to evict the expired cache entries. Stores accessors. Just update that. Watch it take a freaking year because this decided to be slow. It's funny though because like the certain things that it's fine about, like it doesn't complain, or it works and it doesn't choke. Like like it seems to be fine for like a while, and then sometimes it just sort of like bunches up. I don't know. It's very strange. Did we do it? Is it done? No, it's not. Okay. We're going to just... And it's like sometimes it's smooth and other times it bunches up. It's very... I don't want to say inconsistent. It's not... It's just confusing. Irregular. And the other thing too is also like the sub process. So like, you know, it's a server, it fires up and it forks, you know, a few sub processes or whatever. I don't know what the like reconstitution sort of regime is for those. Like, I don't know like what kind of schedule those are on. It could be doing that. I don't know. Like this startup for Intertwingler is like what kind of brutal at the moment. It's kind of brutal because it's, I mean, it's just generating a bunch of crap. All right. Anytime, bud. Or are you done? You just decided you're not going to freaking show the picture anymore. Yeah, that was the case. Okay. So put a hook on the store's accessors to evict the expired cache entries. So one of the issues with this is, what about concurrency, right? What about concurrency? We want to be able to return. So what about concurrency? How do we ensure that we return quickly and not hang up on the cache expiration? And the answer is we do a thread, obviously. Why have you gotten so slow all of a sudden, man? Jeez. I'm gonna take a nap. It might actually be, when did I start doing this? 43 minutes ago. I'll go to an hour. It's just like, if it's gonna be this slow, it's not gonna be very good TV. watch it not load the damn image again. Do you know what? Top M. Whew. Okay, I think I know why it's slowing down. It's because it's eating up all the RAM. I probably haven't restarted that process for a while. I'm not going to restart it right now because well, you know what? I am going to restart it, but it's going to take a while. Wherever that went. Bye. Later. Gracefully shutting down workers. Boop, boop. Okay, now we start it up again. It's going to take a second. It's going to be very angry at me. So I upgraded my VPS to run it, and so I'm spending more money on this freaking VPS now. The VPS is actually too weak to run it anyway, so I would have to upgrade it like significantly more in order to run. So I just have this on my dev server, and I've got it VPN'd to the internet. So this is, oh, there we go. Okay. So this is going to take a second too. So it has response. So how do we ensure that? Yes, we'll just run in another thread. Run the cache eviction. Oops. Process in another thread. Boop. Actually, we'll see how long this takes to. It's going to be angry. The thing that takes the most time is like executing the initial, like the URLs for some freaking reason are just freakishly slow. The URL. So it's got like, the idea behind Intertwingler is like, it's got so much, there's so many URLs that you want to have a durable URL internal identifier, and then you want to have like the routable addresses. And there we go. Are we? Yeah, so durable identifiers, like, and the routable addresses, and then like they flip back and forth. But like to resolve them, it's actually kind of a gnarly process to go to the routable from the durable. And of course, a lot of the time it's just like whatever domain / UUID. But it has to go through stuff to get there first. And it's like that process is just like chugs. Like it's just, especially initially too. It's got it takes a bunch of time. Okay, finally, there we go. Run the cache eviction process in a thread. This is going to be. This is going to actually make for an interesting diagram because it's going to. Supported by, this is a very simple solution. Supported by inline cache, just hooking cache evictions to. Why are you doing that? So hooking cache evictions to accessors is a simple solution. Boop. Oops. That's not where I wanted that. I wanted it up there. Doi. Come on. Just like watching the debug stuff like sweep by. With all my like commentary in it too, like lols. I just restarted you. Why are you so slow? Okay, so that's not what I wanted. I want to go to this guy. Getting hungry. Why did you get so slow? You were fast, now you're slow. It seems to be working a little bit better. Okay. We're gonna wait for this to load, and then we say supported by. Okay. See, it's not loaded yet. I'll give it a second. This needs to get fixed. You were just there. I need to like keep this disabled. Still not there. You should show up. You're not. No, you should be showing up. Why aren't you showing up? You're not even there. That's why. Why aren't you there? Why don't you show up? No, absolutely not. But you should there. Okay, so now it's there. Oh, bugs, 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 bugs. Did we? Okay. Let's go to this. That's what we wanted to do. We don't need it on that one. It's one of those things where like the actual sort of practical friggin' performance of this thing is like getting in the way of my ability to actually use it. Okay. Put a hook in the store's accessors. The opposition to it is The contents of the store. The contents of the store are therefore contingent, or like the state of the cache contingent on things interacting with the store. Going interactions on interactions. So we'll go back to this guy now. Pin this message. I don't want to pin the message. I want to frickin' nuke the message. Come on. Okay, there we go. Sticking my head up the top of the thing. So, how do we actually go about evicting? The other thing is to put a separate thread. Put a separate thread. Set a background worker. Create a background worker thread that polls regularly for dead, for expired cache entries. What? Jesus Christ, seriously. Try that again. What did I say? Poll. No. Thread. Just gonna reload that to make sure that it didn't like where it was in the thing. Okay. That was the thingamajig crashing, the authenticator. Now, where was I? Put a hook on the store. Yeah, so create a thread or a background worker thread that polls regularly for expired cache entries. Boop. So, the issue with this, though, is where So if you have multiple instances, like if you have multiple processes, so maybe I'll just make this a suggestion rather than a question. If you have multiple processes, means multiple when you only need one. This is an I don't know what exactly to do about this. It's more of a design. Again, it's like a design issue rather than an engineering one. Did you mess up again? No, you didn't. There you are. Multiple processes accessing. The other thing would be, the third option would be to like have a separate daemon doing it, which I don't want. How long have I been? Like an hour. You know what? I think I'm gonna call it. Yeah, I'm gonna call it. All right, that was an hour.